Hey guys, Cheesette County of Real Estate. Excited to talk to you about another pretty cool topic, and that's how you can increase your revenue and your income for this quarter. As realtors, we know that when the market shifts, slows down, we've got to be creative in how we get to a place where our finances are not impacted by that, and we can still continue to live the life we want and build the business we want. So let's get into it. So, this is a topic that I talk about a lot, and I talk about it a little differently. I think when people think of how to increase your revenue, they automatically think they need to work more. And that's not what this video is about. I'm not going to tell you to work more because I don't believe you have to work more to make more money. I believe you need to work more effectively, more efficiently, and add more value to make more money. None of that has to be you working 30, 40, 50 hours a day. So we want to get into what is one thing that you can do in your business to make more money, specifically to make more money in less time. And I'm going to give you two different things. One is going to be we have to talk about conversion. Cannot talk about making more money without talking about conversion. Also, want to talk to you about ancillary businesses, which this is the first time on YouTube that I'm going to really open up that box, that Pandora's box, if you will. That is a passion, and I reserve that very privately for my coaching clients. It's not something that I'll ever talk about typically in an like a facing space like this because it's something that I reserve for the clients that actually pay for that service. However, as we're talking about these videos, one of the things I think it's important to understand is that when you're in real estate is a prime business for ancillary business. There's things that you do in business that fund other industries. And instead of having that money go out, it could stay in and provide more revenue to you. So let's get into that. So, number one, we're going to talk about conversion. That's the first thing I want to talk about. I have some slides that I want to share because when we start talking about conversion, I want you to understand conversion is a matter of skill set. Be very clear about that. You convert better when you have better skills. If you're going on appointments, if you're having cold calls and you're not getting the appointments or you're not getting the listing agreement signed, you do not have a conversion issue. You have a skill set issue. When the skill set increases, the conversion will increase. And what happens when the conversion increases, you're going to make more money. And I'm going to go through the slides and show you how we're going to do it in less time. So let me give you an example. When you have a buyer or a seller that you're working with and you go on a listing appointment, let's say you get 10 appointments. And let's say on a cold calling basis, in order to set 10 appointments, if you're converting at a, let's say 10%, 10% of that's your conversion rate. In order to set 10 appointments, 10% is 100. That means you'd have to have 100 conversations to set 10 appointments. However, here's where conversion brings everything to a new level. If you're converting at 50%, then you only need to talk to 20 people to have 10 appointments. And when you talk to 20 people, you can do that in 3 hours versus 100 people. It would take you 3 days, probably 5 to 7 days. So automatically, you're going to make less money because you're going to spend more time getting to the money. This is why it is better to spend that time proactively upfront developing your skill set through training, like the CEO of real estate blueprint training, through trainings that show you how to sell more effectively, have sales conversations. Because when you have those conversations and you begin to convert on a higher level, you're going to automatically make more money. Because here's the thing, when your conversion starts to go up even more, let's say you're converting at a 70%, 75% ratio, that means you can go on 15 appointments and get 10 to 12 of them, even less time. But here's the thing, when you start to really increase your conversion, then you stop counting the number of calls to appointments and you start tracking the number of appointments to sign contracts. See, it opens up the door for another skill set. See, because the skill set it takes for me to have conversations and convert them into appointments is one skill set. The skill set it takes for me to convert an appointment into a signed contract is another skill set, because now I've got to really get into pre-qualifying them and having conversations, asking real questions. And that is going to be a matter of skill set. We teach people how to pre-qualify appointments. Every appointment is not the same, and you're not going to go on every appointment. Some appointments you may set, and then you may call back and start to do some pre-qualification and determine that that's not an appointment for you to go on now. What does that mean? If they're looking to sell in 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, I'm saying that because I'm getting a lot of those people. They want to meet now. And I'm like, there's no need for us to meet now. Anything that's on the market now is not going to be in the market in 3 years when you're looking. Any conversations that we have, we would need to have again. So let's just wait. But we do want to be able to, in those instances where we want to build rapport with people, we want to be able to get engaged in conversations with them. So I'm not saying don't take them. However, always be mindful of your conversion, because your conversion is going to allow you to make more money in less time. So then now this is my favorite when we talk about more money in less time and conversion and paying attention. Let's get into these numbers. Okay. So here's probably something that you did not know. Working with buyers and sellers, we base our training on the model of listings provides leads and leverage. So we are going after listings. I want you to break down, when we talk about making more money, if a $10,000 commission check comes in and it's from a buyer or a seller, I want you to understand the breakdown. The person working with the seller is going to make more money than the person working with the buyer, even though they have the same commission. And let me break this down. So let's say you're working with a buyer, you got to do a consultation. You're going to do a consultation for the seller as well. You're going to do a follow-up email introducing them to lenders, etc. And let's say with this one, you're going to do a follow-up email because you got to get them the listing paperwork, set up photography, same follow-up. So with this one, you're going to spend about 5 hours on your first showings. And that's between setting up the showings, talking to the agents, finding out who wants to make an offer based on, if it's the right loan type, all the background information it takes to set up showing. That's 5 hour commitment. So we're going to put listing coordination here because that's going to be required to get the listing active and ready to go. You got to input stuff in MLS, etc. And I did two blocks of time for that. So say 4 hours total. And then another set of showing and searches, another set of showing and searches. You don't have that. So just in the use of time, you're 15 hours less here. Well, really, this is 4, this is 15. So 9 hours less just working with sellers. So weekly admin, we're going to give an hour for each. This buyer goes out. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4 showing. They still didn't find a house. So guess what? You're doing more admin stuff. You're going to do admin stuff on the seller side every week, but then you're going on showings as well. Another showing. You don't have that. Admin, match it up. Admin on the buyer side, I put 2 hours because you got to write the offer. You got to go back and forth with the agent. You got to get your client to sign. This is just regular admin time, right? So let's say they're both getting offers this week. The admin time is double because you're going to do more as a buyer's agent getting paperwork because you're getting the pre-approval, writing the email, pulling the stuff from MLS. Like it's a longer amount of time. The contract is 12 pages in Florida versus the contract being 3 or 4 pages for a listing agreement. So both have inspections. However, because you represent the buyer, you got to be at that inspection. When you represent the seller, most of the time you're not going to inspection. Same administrative time because you got to review it, etc. However, the buyer didn't like the contract. The buyer didn't like the house. It had bad plumbing, bad piping, so you got to send a cancellation. And then guess where you at? Back at showings. This seller had the inspection, and guess what? Because they have possession of the property, they are able to negotiate, and they were able to negotiate a $5,000 concession that makes the buyer happy, so they continue to move forward in their contract. So showings again, both administrative, showings again, admin time, not so much admin time on the seller side because all the admin stuff happens on the buyer side. So showings here, more admin, another inspection because now they're back under contract, more admin, the final walkthrough. We don't go to final walkthrough. This is your final admin time on a seller. Closing, here's the thing. You're going to be at that buyer closing because this is their first house. This seller that moved out of town because this is business as usual to them. Just send them their check in the mail or cut it into their account. So this person worked 62 hours with this buyer. This person worked 12. They both made $10,000. However, this person made $161 per hour. And then this person made $833 per hour. So I told you I break down everything. Every time I was working with a buyer or seller, I would document how long it took me. And with my sellers, it was 6 to 10 hours. So two is really over. It was 6 to 10 hours. So literally, this person is making $1,000 per hour almost, and this person is making 161. So let's just say 1,000 and then 150. Which person would you rather be? Which agent would you rather be? When we talk about making more money, if you're going by a 40-hour work week, this person has to work 2.5 hours to make 2.5 weeks. Well, 1.5 week to make 10,000. This person only has to work not even a quarter of the week, just basically a quarter. They can do this 4 times and get 4 checks in 1 week. You can only do this twice a month. So now do you see how when we start talking about making more money, I want you to understand it's not always going out doing something. That is super important to me because I think when people think make more money, because our mindset tells us that we have to do something to make more money, a lot of times it's just making simple adjustments on what you're already doing. When we talk about how to bring more money into your business, the number one change you can talk about making for more revenue is switching from working with buyers to sellers. Why? Because listings are going to provide leads. You're going to get buyers. If you go after listings, the listings just come with the buyers. The listings just bring the buyers because your sign is in the yard, your numbers on MLS, your numbers on Zillow and all those other third party resources. And people will call you because of that. So you're going to automatically get buyer leads. But what happens when you focus on buyer leads, you're going to lose a lot of time and money. So I just want to make sure that we understand that because when I hear make more money, I never hear work more. Ever, ever, ever. I never hear work more. I hear, what am I doing? First of all, where's my making money at? And then is there money that I can drive back into the business, either through less time making that money or anything of the like? But that is my first shot of thinking when it comes to how do I make more money in my business. So last one, let's get into this, and this is going to be very quick because I told you I get into this big time, but I just is not something that I would ever do outside of a consultative with my clients. You have to think about where money is going in your transaction. And how can I say this without so when you have a buyer transaction, I want you to think about everywhere that a buyer spends money. They spend money on inspections, appraisals. They spend money on second opinion on things like if the electrician said something and then they want to get a second, I mean the inspector said something about the electricity and they want to hire an electrician and get a second opinion. They spend money, more money is spent on transaction management if you have that as an agent. Money is spent if you had a listing and it was a listing coordinator. So here's what I want you to think. Which of those industries, spaces, places where money is being spent can you get involved? And when I say can you get involved, for example, just saying when I started the title company, my title company, the reason why I started my title company is because title gets paid on every deal. If I'm going to be working with buyers and sellers and I can get one check, I mean 2 checks instead of one, that makes more sense. If you're closing a buyer deal, it makes sense for you to have a mortgage company because then you can get paid on the loan and on the real estate. But you don't have to be the mortgage officer. You could just be the owner of the mortgage company. The reason why I'm telling you this is because most of the time, whatever your front facing business is, there is an ancillary component that if you partner it well with that front facing business, game over. Like game over. And that's the part that most people, because they're not thinking like a CEO, they never look at their business in a whole and say, where can we make more money? That's how a CEO thinks. A CEO says, okay, great. We made 150,000, not doing anything different. Just looking at everything that we did to make this 150,000, where can I make small tweaks to turn the 150 into 200? And if I can make the small tweaks to turn the 150 into 200, then I can make the tweaks to turn 200 into a million. And this is how you have to start thinking. Don't think about working more. You are not allowed to work more. You probably already worked hard enough for your entire life. You're not allowed to work more, especially if you know me. You're not. You are allowed to work smarter, more efficiently. So, if you need a training place, a place where you can work on your conversion, work on looking at your business objectively so you can start to look at opportunities for ancillary income, work on your business where you can determine the best use of your time, whether it's working with buyers, sellers, clients, etc., then you need to be in the blueprint. That's just it. Like when I say that's just it, because I don't see any other training or coaching programs teaching you how to get out of the business. They're all teaching you how to depend more on training and coaching so that they can have a pipeline of training opportunities for you going forward. I would prefer that you be in our blueprint program for a year and then our scale to seven for a year. And by time you finish that, you should be fully out of the business and ready for your next level of coaching and consultation, which we offer. However, I want to make sure that we're very clear that working is not the solution. Running a business effectively is, and that's what we're able to teach you at the CEO of Real Estate. So I look forward to potentially working with you one day. Okay, so that video ran a little long. However, I wanted to make sure that I was able to go through the slides with you because information is the start of the change that you need. You'll never know what changes you need to make into your business until you start really pulling the covers back on the data and really getting into the information. When we start talking about data points for our business, this is what we're doing in the CEO of Real Estate. We're not just making decisions without having the data. So when we start talking about how to make more money, that's not just something we start to do. We look at the data and then we allow the data to tell us strategically what things we can do to make more money. Love to have another conversation with you about that or expand on this conversation with you if you're an agent or a team leader or in the real estate profession and looking to grow your income. I'd love to talk with you. Cheesette Cowan here, www.theceorealestate.com.